Today we're going to be talking about the new Pillorian debut, Obsidian Arc, the debut album of John Haughm's band after the dissolution of the sound sort of picks up where left off with a harsher, more traditional black metal sound. In the music you can find these subtle nods to genre classics such as Dimmu Borgir's Stormblast, Granser Skarsnossen that are found on albums like Moonsorrow's Very Sakit. There's also a creepier, more doomier death metal sound, sort of like what Grey Heaven Fall did on their last album, Black Wisdom. There are some really crushing moments on this album on songs like The Vestige of Thorns and Arcane Divinity. To start off, we'll talk about the guitars. The melodies and harmonies that John Haughm incorporates on this album are very memorable and they get stuck in your head even after like one or two listens. The guitar solos that you find on this album are very grand and they're very melodic, sort of like what you would find on Horrendous's second album, Ecdysis, on songs like The Stranger, where it has just these soaring, super melodic guitar solos. This gives a nice balance to the harsher, more abrasive vocal style that's used on this. There are times that John Haughm sort of steps out of his comfort zone and does these sort of waily shrieks like you would find on a Ghostbath album, except like more listenable. Not only are these harsh vocals placed well in the mix, but they are very, very intelligible. It's very easy to tell what exactly John Haughm is saying without a lyric book next to you. Despite the fact that a lot of these songs are more than 6 or 7 minutes in length, they really don't feel that long. They're very well paced and they don't ever explore an idea longer than it needs to. For example, the song Forged Iron Crucible starts off with this acoustic guitar instrumental that lasts for a couple minutes and then sort of builds its way up into this intense blast beat black metal song. This all leads up to this ambient part at the end that sort of reminds me of something you would find on Agalloch's earlier stuff, like Our Fortress is Burning Part 3. And a lot of these songs have this same sort of structure without sounding similar, copy-paste. They all explore these ideas and they present them in a totally full and concise way. This album has a very dire atmosphere, with these instrumentals and melodies that feel like the narrator has this very strong and overwhelming and sorrowful burden that he's carrying. This is also shown in the lyrics with these poetic descriptions of this dark, terrifying reality where everything is black and overtaken by death and decay. There are two conceptual parts to this album. The first 3 tracks play with this heavier, more aggressive style that Agalloch incorporated on their first couple albums. And then the last 4 tracks do more weird experimentation outside of these ideas they introduced in the first 3 songs. So, for example, there's this ambient part at the end of Forged Iron Crucible, there's a lot of thrash influence on a Stygian pyre, and then there's this ambient track leading into the final song, Dark is the River of Man, which really goes back to this traditional Agalloch sound. While all the instruments sound great on their own, the production could be a little more dynamic in parts. There are acoustic passages on songs such as Forged Iron Crucible and The Vestige of Thorns that would benefit a lot from having a quieter acoustic passage. It would give these songs a lot more punch. Another issue I have is with the ambient section at the end of Forged Iron Crucible, which is the first sort of introduction into these more experimental styles that they go for. And after a while, it just kind of loses interest, like it kind of falls flat. And from here, there's a very awkward transition into the next song, A Stygian Pyre. Overall, though, these are very small complaints. It is a great listen, and probably one of my favorites of 2017 so far. If you ever thought that Agalloch was like too quiet as black metal comes along, you should really give this a listen and see if this might interest you a little more. Because the sounds on here are a lot more aggressive, they're a lot more punchy, they're a lot more harsh, and they're very good at creating an atmosphere in the same way that albums like The Mantle or Ashes Against the Grain did. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this album, and hopefully you guys will give it a listen too, and let me know what you think. I would love to see what you guys think about this album, if you're into it, or if you don't really care for it much, or whatever, you know? I just want to know what you guys think about it, so leave a comment down below. Thanks, I'll see you guys next time.